this marriage of convenience,
Was
like
at
Mavuto is calling it, was at 99.9. And remember
But
that
it has always been a marriage of convenience.
a marriage of convenience.
Let me argue.
A marriage of just a point.
No.
A marriage of convenience. A marriage. A marriage, Mavuto, even in a formal setup of a marriage, it's about give and take.
Yes. No, this was about cohabiting.
No.
Yes, it's even cohabiting about give and take.
Even cohabiting.
What should I take? And what should I take? All right.
This is where I tell you. In London, they went together. What happened in Khartoum?
There's a point.
There's
a point where you just reach a compromise. And look, indeed, we cannot go away with what we want.
Yes.
Obviously, the NDC are against the idea of the alliance being called NDC. I mean, UPND. And that is the only thing.
And even
that is the only thing.
And even Kambwiri made it clear yesterday.
Yes.
That the only problem is
that is the only problem
because you are swallowing NDC. NDC is going to be swallowed.
But what is NDC?
Wait.
Yes, that is the problem that they have.
That is the problem.
That is the only problem they have. The chairperson of the alliance yesterday on Diamond was live. He was saying, what we agreed in these meetings, we've been meeting for a very long time. We agreed that the running mate will come from the members of the opposition alliance. And so we obviously know that the possible guy to get the seat of the running mate is Dr. Kambwili because of representation in parliament.
Why not give him? But his only member of parliament has left him. So what is he offering when it comes to
the member of parliament? These have not.
You can't offer that member of parliament because he was a collective responsibility of two parties.
Yes.
What is their stake as UPND in that member of parliament? Almost 95 or 75%. So you can't come to the table and say I'm offering Chifokolo when Chifokolo is a product of you and me. I can even tell you that Chikusu would be the right vice president.
Chikuse.
Whatever. But I've told you. So don't just come.
But really.
Guys.
A drama started unfolding. All right? Already we're seeing a lot of drama being unfolded. Tomorrow, I think big drama will unfold because ultimately at 12 hours we hear which way forward in terms of, how the NDC will move. But I think their spokesperson was very clear last night. We had her on the program, and she said she doesn't see the future of this particular alliance. And I think she mentioned a lot of things regarding why the possibility of them still remaining in the alliance is very slim. They did make mention of that, Progressive Party.
Republican Progressive Party. Mr. Kapera, good morning and welcome to Sunrise Breakfast.
Good morning, thank you, Mr. Chifokola, and I'm sorry that I walked in.
It is fine. The opposition alliance, you changed the name, or your leader was there, Leslie Chikuse, when they were changing the name, but it hasn't settled well with other alliance partners and even the general public. I personally will tell you that alliances don't work in Zambia. Let's see where you're going to begin from.
Well, thank you very much for this invitation. As the Republican Progressive Party, countrymen and women, I must quickly say we can never give up. If they've never worked before, this is the first time that this alliance will work. And that said, nothing will distract this alliance at all. Doomsayers always come in to distract formidable institutions. So it's working, it has started, and those that believe that it's not going to work, Mr. Chifokola, I can assure you that we are doing it for the Zambian people, not for individuals. If then we always want to look at the negative side of situations, it's a reason this country is where it is today, because of negativity. People, betrayers, traitors are always on the fore to distract formidable institutions. And we are not going to be swayed away from that which the spirit of the Zambian people want to see us do. We are aware that there were spent forces that we thought we were together in these alliances, in this alliance. But God has his own way in how he brings people to light. And we've seen them. You know, you and I know that the Zambian people have been so thirsty in wanting to see that opposition political parties come together. And you cannot start demeaning, or rather reducing political parties and then term them to be small. What is small? How did they start? How are they big? Those are the questions. Who starts from the top? Anything starts from there, and that which starts from the bottom concretizes its foundation. As it rises, you make sure that you create all those structures in place rather than just rushing to the top. You are talking about small political parties. What is small? We could be small, yes, but in what sense? Those are questions that even PF itself, well, how did it start? It started with one member of parliament. When did RPP start? Literally 4 years ago. And as I can tell you now, Republican Progressive Party is a growing party. We cannot brag here and say we are big. Even NDC itself, how is it big? It's been contesting in most of these elections. How has been their performance? They only have one member of parliament. And then you want to come all over social media, media platforms, you know, what, and, no. The problem that we have in this country is failure to embrace that which we feel we should embrace. And everything is always about demeaning others, reducing others, pettiness. Political pettiness, I think, should be an end of this whole thing. We cannot continue in wanting to think you are bigger than this one. We are all involved, and inclusiveness is what the Zambian people want.
You have talked about RPP being a growing party. Tell us, how big are you? Or how small are you?
Look, after the demise of our late President Lukuku, there now came our President Leslie Chikose. What we did, you see, each president has their own way of doing things. When President Chikose came in, he identified individuals that were probably not performing, or rather within the executive mandate, were not given the mandate to perform as expected. So we restructured everything up. I'm here on this platform as Secretary General of the party. Okay? There are these other political parties whom we've never even not even a media personnel. It's only now that we are hearing now that media persons are now issuing statements. It's just them. You cannot even tell whether he's a Secretary General, or he's National Chairman, or he's the President, he's everything. Ours as RPP, we're a growing political party in the sense that we've structured everything. If I can tell you, we have the President. There is a Secretary General. We have
Without
the
the Vice
Chairman.
President?
Pardon?
Without the Vice President?
No. The Vice President is a discretion of the President to appoint.
So at the moment you have the President, you have the Secretary General.
This is why we are so sensitive with whom we should bring in as the Vice President. Because the mistakes have been made before. You can imagine, even the alliance, there's been the issues of who then comes in and as a Vice President as well as a running mate. The reasons is, these are things that we're talking about. You bring in somebody thinking you can trust, all of a sudden you are betrayed. All of a sudden, because we have institutions or other organizations that they believe by bringing people, it's all about using money. The Zambian people wants to see institutions that can preside on the affairs, economic affairs of this country. RPP, we are a group of young people who wants to bring proper leadership, prudent leadership to this country. It's a reason why were in the alliance. Okay? And those that are not part of that vision will for sure wither. And they are withering out.
There's a statement that has come from the ruling Patriotic Front that the ruling Patriotic Front PF Media Director Sandy Chanda has described the political happenings among opposition parties as comedy show. Mr. Chanda has charged that the changing of the name from Opposition Alliance to UPND Alliance is a clear proof to what the ruling party has always said, that the Opposition Alliance was going to fail. He hinted that one of the reasons why the alliance has failed is due to alleged selfishness by party leaders. Give us a report or a picture where Sandy Chanda was describing the opposition alliance. On the other side, we continue with the show.
What has happened to the alliance, opposition alliance, does not come as a surprise. This is something that we had predicted because it was an alliance that was founded on deceit, an alliance founded on expediency, an alliance founded on lies, an alliance founded on a very myopic agenda, and that agenda simply to unseat the presidency of His Excellency Dr. Edgar Chagwa and the Patriotic Front. Now, if you ask us, that is a very myopic agenda, and that is not what the Zambian people are preoccupied with right now. The Zambian people are looking at what the Patriotic Front is doing, has done over the last 5 years, over the last 10 years, and if there's going to be an opposition political party that is going to add value, this has to be an opposition party that brings viable alternatives on the table. And they must provide alternatives that are better than what the Patriotic Front is offering the Zambian people. We have been comforted over a long period of time that there's a certain deficiency inherent in the opposition, especially the opposition UPND, that they fail to grasp the core issues and things that matter to the Zambian people. For example, they believe that Zambians would get easily hoodwinked when they tell lies around the economy, when they deny the existence of climate change and the impact of climate change on the economy, on any economy, when they downplay the impact of COVID-19 on an economy such as ours, when global economies, bigger economies than Zambia, down on their knees. You go to the United Kingdom, you go to the United States of America, you go to South Africa, the cost of living has shot up, tripled, quadrupled. And COVID-19 has ravaged economies, and Zambia is no exception. We have an import-driven economy, and when countries that you count on for much of the resource having the sort of challenges that they're having, clearly this will have a bearing on how you perform economically as a country. We have seen the UPND parading themselves as a messiahs. We have seen the UPND leader saying to the Zambian people that he has come to liberate the Zambian people. And the question Zambians are...
I hear you.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you, Andrew. How are you?
Very well, thank you. A number of issues, from your party. Let's begin with what you had said earlier today before we can get to the press briefing that you had with Dr. Kambul. Now, you have been quoted in the media. You featured on one of the local radio stations in the country where you said you'd rather, go to PF as opposed to staying in this particular alliance with the UPND. What did you really mean?
Well, I meant just that, you should know, first and foremost, Andrew, that as a member of the opposition, our priority and our dream and our plans and our aspirations is with the opposition. to ensure that the opposition forms government. Because let's be very clear, the PF are bad managers of the economy. The PF have destroyed the economy. Look at the prices of millennium, the prices of commodities. Everything in the country has gone up. Look at the dollar. Everything has gone up. You get the point? The PF, whether you like it or not, are bad managers of the economy. You get the point? And no wonder, as the opposition, we're saying we need to remove them and form a good government. Okay? But what is going on is that we have had this alliance with the UPND and other parties. And let me make mention from the onset to say, when we started, we were about 13, 14 political parties in the alliance. Right now, we have remained about 3 or 4 in the alliance. It has not been easy. We have tried by all means. And as NDC, we have tried to maintain the alliance as a solution for the Zambian people. Because the Zambians have clearly told us to say, the alliance is the best solution for the country. So despite everything that we've been experiencing with the alliance, with the UPNG, we have held on. But we have reached a point where we are saying enough is enough. We want the best for Zambia, want the best for the people out there. But what we are going through, this is a bad marriage. And if we stay on, we are just we will continue being abused. And we are going to, we want out of this, okay? If you saw the press briefing yesterday, the alliance announced that the name of the alliance is going to be the UPND Alliance, something that the NDC has been clearly against. You get the point? Clearly against. We sent our vice president to be the representative of yesterday's meeting. If you saw what happened after yesterday's meeting, they went further to have a press conference. All the other parties were represented by their presidents. Our party was represented by the vice president. Our president was sick yesterday. So if the alliance meant well, what they should have done was that you, as the NDC, your vice president represented you. So go back to the party, report, let's have this press briefing tomorrow. They make decisions with the vice president, and then they go ahead and do a press conference. And they agree on things which the party has clearly been against. We have not accepted the UPND alliance name. No,
But
UPND is in an alliance with who? That has been our question all along.
But
if you want to put the name
before,
of the alliance as UPND alliance, you are in alliance with who? You get the point?
Of course. Before we can get to the issue of the alliance and the name and whatnot, you've said enough is enough of being abused. Have you been abused in this particular marriage you've been with the UPND?
Oh, certainly, certainly. Andrew, just somebody, a party insisting that everybody should be called by their name, one name. There are 4 parties in the alliance right now. They want the alliance name to be called by their name. That's abuse. You get the point? Even when we stand as MPs, I am an aspiring member of parliament myself. Andrew, I am a member of the NDC. If I'm going to be a member of parliament, I want to be a member of parliament under NDC. I'm not a UPND member of parliament. I'm not a member of the UPND. You get the point? But UPND has insisted that all members of parliament, all councillors, all council chairpersons, all mayors that will stand have to stand as a UPND in all corners of the country, without recognizing the fact that UPND is not even popular in all corners of the country. They are not. You get the point? UPND is not popular in all corners of the country. They can be popular in this corner and this corner and that corner, but not all corners of the country. But what they want is all of us, wherever you are standing, on whichever ticket, you stand as UPND. To me and to the NDC, that's disrespect. They're disregarding us. And also, that's just pure selfishness. And we have said no to this. But sadly and unfortunately and shockingly, that is what our vice president yesterday signed up to. And then they went ahead and had a press conference. So all that is very shocking to us as the NDC, because this has been very clear from the onset. And people were asking to say, what's going on? Why is it taking so long for the alliance to announce their resolutions? These have been the contentious issues in the alliance. Alliances normally have a problem with the presidency. But for this one, from the onset, we really told the UPND to say, you can have the presidency. But these other issues that I've mentioned right now were contentious.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So are you telling us that the only abuse that you've suffered as the NDC is being swallowed in the name of the UPND. That is the only abuse you've gone through in this particular marriage with the UPND.
Well, certainly, I mean, we wouldn't accept any other alliance, any other abuse other than that. So that has been the main abuse that I can talk about. The issue of the name, because we were calling it as flagship. So the issue of the flagship has been the biggest problem that the alliance has faced, certainly.
If a party being called the UPND Alliance would ultimately help you kick the PF out of power, what is wrong with that? Because ultimately the main agenda is for you to, to ensure that the PF parks their bags.
Andrew, if the name UPND Alliance helped us kick the PF out of power, I think we'd be comfortable with that. But it doesn't. Whether we like it or not, Zambian politics are very tribal. There are many places in this country where if you stand as UPND, you've lost your seats. We have members of the Central Committee in NDC, and I'll be very specific with you, I'll be very honest with you, in Eastern Province, who've been told by the traditional leaders that if you're going to stand on UPND, would we campaign you and you shall not win. You are our child, but we shall not support you. You get the point? You're either going to stand on NDC or independent. So those members of the Central Committee have clearly said, for us, even if we go ahead with the alliance, I am going to stand either as the NDC or independent. That's how it is. You get the point?
I get the
so
point.
UPND is not popular in all corners of this country. So for them to even insist on that clearly shows that, one, they are very selfish, and two, they don't know politics. And no wonder they've lost so many elections, because they don't understand what politics are. They don't understand what it takes to win an election. Their selfishness, their ego is more than winning an election. And that's what they don't want for 2021. PF, like I've said, PF are bad managers. PF have destroyed this economy. PF are, to me, PF are even the worst thing that has ever happened to Zambia. But PF are good strategists. PF can win an election. We've been in several by-elections in this country whereby you even know that the opposition is very popular and they're winning the election. And they've won the elections in the last 48 hours of that election. You get the point? Because they know what it takes to win an election. And they'll do anything to win an election. But for UPND, their ego means more than winning an election. And that is very, very sad for this country.
Yeah, so why would you rather the PF wins this particular election, because you failed to understand and agree on the terms and conditions of this particular land? So you would rather the PF wins if you don't reach, finally, you don't reach an agreement with the UPND?
For me, Andrew, not because we have failed to agree on certain things. For me, the level of selfishness that the UPND is portraying, trust me, to me, and I've clearly said that even when I appeared in the morning on radio, I am saying this is not an empty stance as Savoy Imboela. The selfishness, the disregard, the kind of greed that the UPND is showing, I would rather vote for PF than the UPND. I would rather we vote in the evil we know than this evil that is showing how bad they are. The PF showed us how bad they were when they came into government. In opposition, the PF were angels. More money in your pockets, lower taxes, and everything that they promised us. In 90 days, we'll do ABCD, ABCD. They got other alliance partners, they did whatever it is they had to do in opposition. When they formed government, they changed. But UPND, they're showing us how evil they are when they are still in opposition. So give them instruments of power. You get the point. Give them the statement machinery. How bad are they going to be?
So today we did see.
So for me, the UPND have to make sure that they show us that they can be good leaders, good managers, and not what they're showing us right now.
Of course, I think earlier today we did also see a mini coup d'etat that was done on your party president, Dr. Chimba Kambwili. And Akafumba, as we are told, is now the new president of the NDC. Now, we do know for a fact that, Mr. Akafumba comes from a legal background, and I don't think he can be doing things that he doesn't understand legally. What is the status, really? What does your party constitution say? I do know for a fact that Dr. Kambwili had his own interpretation earlier today that you cannot expel the party president if you've not managed to reach the number of members of the executive committee coming together. But what is the status now? Is Dr. Kambwili expelled from the NDC and Mr. Kafumba, president of the NDC. Where are we now?
Hell no.
He's a lawyer,
Mr.
by the way.
Kafumba doesn't even own powers. And if you saw Andrew, they expelled both the president and myself as spokesperson. I don't know which powers they used to expel the president or which powers they used to expel me. You get the point? Mwenya Musende was more powerful in the NDC than Mr. Kafumba is. And he had the PF support, but he failed to do what the vice president was trying to do today. You get the point? Because the NDC does have a constitution. And the constitution clearly outlines how a president can be removed. We do have a central committee, and the central committee is the highest body of the party. And after what happened yesterday, the president called for the central committee on Saturday. So we have a central committee on Saturday. How the VIP, the SG, and others had to have that meeting today to more or less like counter what the central committee was supposed to do, nobody knows. You get the point? Because if really they have a case against the president, they should have waited until Saturday so that they present that to the central committee, and the central committee, we could have expelled the president. But they went ahead, 5 of them, with no power whatsoever to disregard. And I'm very happy that the UPND actually has written a statement that they're not supporting the so-called Kafumba-led NDC, because there's nothing like the so-called Kafumba-led NDC. And by the way, our SG, Mrs. Atanga, did the same thing. If you follow the events that happened in 2016, when Michael Sata died, the whole drama between Sata, the Lungu group and the Kabimba, Wita Kabimba. Our SG by then was the SG of deputy SG of the PF, and she did the same thing, you know. So she doesn't learn. Her together with the husband, Professor Atanga, they also don't learn. People just seem not to learn in this politics of ours. You get the point? But to cut the long story short, as NDC, we're going to have a central committee on Saturday in Luansha. Once you have the central committee from 9 to about 12 hours, we're going to have a press conference, and there we're going to tell you what the central committee is going to decide. Because NDC is not an autocratic party. We are a democratic party. The president does not make decisions alone. I remember even the time when I'm saying a so-called expelled the president. People said, no, now Chimbagambwida is expelled. When I'm saying the expeller has expelled the expelled. You know what I mean? They were saying the same thing today. To say after Atanga and Kafumba expelled the president also expelled them. The president has not expelled anyone because he does understand the constitution that he does not have those executive powers to expel anybody at the central committee level on his own like that. He needs to go for a central committee and say, this person and this person have aired in this and that way.
Of course.
So on Saturday, they're going to the resolution.
Sabo, do you think there is an invisible hand that is fighting this battle? Do you think Mr. Kafumba and Mrs. Hatanga are being used by an invisible hand? Is it crossing your mind?
That what?
Is it crossing your mind that probably Mr. Kafumba and Mrs. Hatanga are being used by an invisible hand, or probably they're just operating within their own capacities?
No, certainly they're being used. And I'll be very honest with you. The so-called members of the Central Committee from the NDC that are really supporting the alliance in a very, very unhealthy way are members of the Central Committee that want to stand in Southern Province as well as Western Province. Okay? So to them, they know that when they stand on UPND, they've won elections 10 hours. And I've told
being used by who? Being used by who,
I'm an aspiring candidate for Kapluwe or Western Province. At an individual level, Andrew, I know for a fact that if I stand in Kapluwe or Western Province, I would win elections by 10 hours without even campaigning much. But it's not about me. If the party takes me to the alliance and say one of the negotiators, I'm not supposed to go there and negotiate for myself. I'm supposed to negotiate for a deal that benefits everyone. I can't negotiate for a deal which benefits me, and by tomorrow the whole NDC will be dead. You get the point? And that's what these people have done. They are looking at themselves as individuals instead of looking at the NDC as a party. And that is what we are saying to say, we shall not agree to this. The UPND, if they feel they're so popular that they want everyone to stand as UPND, they want the name to be called UPND Alliance, let them stand alone. Okay? The whole principle, the fundamental principle of an alliance is recognizing the fact that you need other players. Okay? You may have 45% of the votes, but Zambia right now has got the 50 plus 1%, a threshold that it wants in terms of you winning an election.
Okay.
That is Savoy Imboila, NDC spokesperson. Let me start with you, Andrew. The discussion that you had with Savoy, she says, yes, the PF have messed up, they are evil, but again, when you asked her a question, she said, yes, at a personal level, she can still vote for that devil. What do you make of that?
A number of revelations, were unveiled last night when we had a conversation with Savoy Imboila. For me, I think she was contradicting herself. In one breath, she was saying the PF have done many bad things.
They have messed up.
They've messed up this economy. They're bad managers. In fact, the word that she used,
Bad managers.
They're bad managers of the economy. Yes, you still go ahead and get to vote for them. And for that, I think this entire marriage of convenience that Mavuto calls it, I think, hasn't been about the people. I think it's been about individual political parties. If we can't agree as a political party, then we cannot, do this one particular thing. But I think the people have spoken. I think many people, when these leaders are featured on whether radio or TV, I think many have spoken that we need this actual alliance to work out. And I think the people's voice have not been respected in this particular marriage of convenience that the UPND shares with the NDC. I think they have been a bit selfish. All right, and selfish, to be specific, I'm speaking about the NDC. I think the NDC haven't been really true to their word. Like I said earlier, Chief, Dr. Kambu told us that, this alliance has gone 99.9%. And I think you can't compromise on that 1%, which is, for me, is about changing of the name. And earlier, again, months ago, Dr. Kambu told us that he's ready to be led. But today, I think we're hearing a different story. And so, it is worrying, really, to begin to hear, such issues coming through from the NDC, which promised that will ensure that this particular marriage of convenience works, come what may.
Before I bring in Mr. Geshas, Sunday Chanda says they predicted this. They saw it coming. Talks about the ego. It talks about some people trying to bulldoze everything, and the small parties that are there are just there to support.
In a group, Chief, you need to understand that there's always going to be misunderstandings. And I think for me, this issue that we're calling drama, for me, I think it's a normal process, to building up to something. I think it's a normal process. Where you have a group, Chief Ogolo, you expect people to misunderstand each other.
Like you say in your language, imiti parliament
all right. So for me, I don't see this as total drama. I don't see this as total confusion that has entangled, the alliance. I see this as a normal process in building up to a consensus. All right. And I think if Dr. Kambwili, Mr. Hakainde Ichilem, and other opposition alliance sit back and reflect, I'm positive that something that will be consolidated will come together, and ultimately they will emerge stronger than they were previously. And I think for me, there's still a lot of time, for them to get to sit and really agree. If the name is a big issue, I think they can still sit and renegotiate the name. But also, I think I would also like to know what were some of the underlying factors that led for them to finally reach at, the alliance being called UPND Alliance. All right, why wasn't it called RPP, UPND, NDC, and whatever alliance? Why wasn't it called that? I think for me, I would like to know. But I think also one issue that we should get to know and be really realistic about is that whatever name we decide to call this particular alliance, it is not the name that will go to Parliament. All right. For example, if we called it UPND Alliance, when he wins an election, they won't call him a UPND Alliance member of Parliament. They'll probably refer to him by his individual party's name. That is RPP, member of Parliament. Even when finally they reach at UPND Alliance, they won't go to Registrar of Society and change the name, that our name is no longer called the UPND, or our name is no longer called the NDC, our name is called the UPND. No, they will not do that. And that is just simply a banner, a flagship banner to say there's some form of an agreement that we've been involved in with different political parties. Not to say we are swallowing up political parties to be under the UPND. That is my understanding. I think, for me, that is just a banner to show people that this particular, grouping is in an agreement with different political parties. That is the reason why it is called UPND Alliance, as opposed to what Mr. Kamgwili is saying, that the moment the name changes, then they get swallowed up in the UPND. For me, that is my understanding of this, because I don't think the UPND will also go to the Registrar of Society and say, we're no longer called the UPND, we're now called the UPND Alliance. I don't think that is the understanding. Unless I'm mistaken, and probably we'll get it clear from him, who is part of the alliance, and some of the talks that have been going on, especially on the name. But also, I'm meant to believe that these alliances have been in talking shoes. And the day that the alliance decided to hold a press briefing, I'm meant to believe that all political parties that are in the alliance knew the agenda. All right? And when they called the media, the issue was just to issue a statement that we've now consolidated as the alliance. We are now into an electoral pact. We've chosen HH as our president, as our flagship for this particular alliance, and we're calling this alliance UPND Alliance. I'm meant to believe that everybody knew what the agenda was. All right? Because if we're going to say we're going to hold a press briefing, you should know what we're going to speak about in this press briefing. If you're against,
but somebody is talking about the report that the vice president was supposed to report the president
if
and
you're
the
against things, no, I think
NGC members.
Savoy is not. I think she's not being realistic. She's not being realistic and logical. I don't think so.
She's saying the vice president was sent by the president and the NGC, and they were waiting for a report.
No, I think when they held the press briefing, they're not going there to sit and start, agreeing on what they're going to speak to the media. Whatever they spoke to the media on that fateful day was an agreed agenda that we're going to speak about this. I don't think that the press briefing was scored and the people didn't know the agenda. I don't think so. I don't want to insult my intelligence to think so. All right? I don't want to insult my intelligence to think so. I don't think things work like that. Chifokolo, we're in an alliance pact, and I announced that we're going to have a press briefing. And the things that I announced, you don't know. How is that possible? It is not possible. I don't think this is coming as a shock to NDC. I don't think so. I think NDC knew about this whole thing, and they agreed.
And they are just trying to play politics.
And they're trying to play politics. But because, and I'm shocked that this has come as a shock to Dr. Kamgwili. Because we've been told that they've been talking
maybe that is the 1% that was remaining, 99.9. That is the 1% that was remaining of changing.
But also even before the chairperson of the alliance, before I think he went to hold a press briefing, I think they should have consolidated, so that they avoid these things that we're seeing.
Thank you so much. And let me bring in Mr. Kapero. I don't know where you are going to start from, whether you react with what Sunday said or you react to what the revelations that Savoy has produced of small parties supporting, and also knowing that the PF are bad managers, but she can still go ahead and vote. The UPND has got no presence, so they are not strong in other provinces, and the members of NDC have made it clear to say if you go ahead, we can still stand as independent and win. She even gave an example of Kafue and Western, that she can stand in Western and by 10 hours, Savoy, member of parliament.
First of all, like you put it, NDC is trying to play politics, and the politics of selfishness. And that said, look, first of all, let me touch on Sunday Chanda's statement. The PF are so excited with what's trending right now. Reasons being, that's what they've been thirsty for, to see to it that we come to this stage where we are now. But we shall not be distracted. You know why? We stand on the viewpoint of the Zambian people. Secondly, I will not comment much on Sunday, because we know their ill intentions. Secondly, Who is this former artist again? What's her name again?
Savoy.
The one who was
Savoy.
ranting.
Savoy Mbowe.
Savoy. She was not actually talking, she was ranting. According to what she's trying to put across there, she was ranting. Look, the alliance partners have been talking terms for the past 3 years. A lot was discussed. Like you put it, you guys, 1% was only a measure to arrive at the conclusion. In that meeting, I was equally there. We deliberated, we discussed, NDC members, the Vice President, the Secretary General, the Press Secretary to Chishimba Kambwidi
Mr. Muvi.
was there. So, to come on a platform like that and think you're actually speaking sense, yet you are ranting, is not helping the Zambian people. She's contradicting herself in everything that she's saying. Look, she cannot start talking about UPND being not truthful to themselves. Look, UPND is the second biggest political party and an alternative political party in Zambia. I repeat that. If not now, maybe the first biggest political party. The people of Zambia wants to see an alternative to PF. What sort of an alternative, Mr. Chifokolo? Look, PF has done a mess to this country. And then she wants to come here and it tells the Zambian people, dupe the Zambian people, the same language the PF are using to dupe the Zambian people. And then come here and say she would rather go to bed with PF than the UPND.
Who are bad managers?
Who are economic, not only bad managers, who are economic bad managers, who has brought the many suffering to you and I. How do you go to bed with such kind of people that have led this country to total squalor of poverty, misplaced priorities? It hurts me to see a learned person not be able to stand for the majority poor just because of little pieces of rupees.
But also, Mr. Kapela, I think maybe one of the big issue, one of the loophole we are seeing in this marriage of convenience is how did you arrive at the name? How was the name arrived at? And was it consultative in terms of agreeing that the name of the alliance should be called the UPND Alliance?
My brother, there logic comes in. You cannot start marketing a brand that is not known to the people. You can't literally start changing everything when you are going towards 4 months towards elections. What does alliance mean? It means you've actually involved the other players. What is distracting their thinking? It's just literally the name UPND. Why should you not rule out the word alliance itself? You've involved the other players. It's a reason why that alliance word has been attached to the entire word itself, which actually makes it UPND Alliance. Why wouldn't you be part of the alliance, the word itself, alliance? Why just focus on UPND? And look, this vehicle, the name UPND, it's been a brand that has been used for a very long time. And it's an alternative institution that the Zambian people are looking up to. Then you come in and now start changing the fortunes of an institution that you are basically trying to consolidate and market. You then start talking about, you are actually going to distract the people.
In the initial stages of, of rebranding, was there an agreement in the talking? Did you agree? Yes, you've quite put it that, look, this is a brand and we just can't dish it out like that. We just can't, throw it, in the bins. how was the response from members of the alliance when this was brought upon as a preferred name?
My brother,
And maybe who proposed that it should be UPND Alliance? Is it the UPND, or you also had to
comrades,
something to say?
in that meeting we had, there were a number of political players. The name was floated on the table to discuss. We arrived at a consensus where we said we cannot start changing the brand name. It's simple logic. How then, you're literally going to distract the people. UPND, RPP, UND, you are going to literally, it's simple logic. Look,
We probably have a long name on a Chitenge.
and for what? The brand is already there. All that you needed to do is be part of the Word Itself Alliance. This is the vehicle. We sat there as a consortium of different political parties. In as much as they want to rant and accuse UPND to have overridden on the decision of coming up with a name, it's a lie. We were all there, and we agreed. The problem with, look, first of all, NDC was represented by the Vice President.
And I would love
the
to know
Secretary
there.
General.
I would love to know when the time that you held a press briefing at the residence of
Yes.
Mr. Milupi.
Yes.
Was that the time you were coming up with a name, or probably the name was already suggested?
You are just announcing to
No.
the nation.
The reason was all the political players were present. The mistake that was not there, President Kambwil was supposed to have been part of that meeting. Whenever meetings were called, he would always give excuses. On that particular day, we expected him to be in that meeting. Apparently, the Secretary General of NDC,
Madam Atanga.
she was there,
But
who
you hear my
basically
question?
made a statement and said, Honorable Kambwil will not be part of this meeting because he's not ready to work with the UPND. It's there. It's all over. It's not a secret at all. It's all over.
But my question again was, the time that the alliance held a press briefing
Yes.
to now announce who is going to be flagship president of the alliance and the name. Was that the actual day that you decided on the name of the alliance, or this was already a conversation that was already established and you just came to announce?
Comrade, you personally said here that the alliance partners had arrived at a consensus where 99.9% of decisions by all political parties involved to arrive at the decision, 1% could not have distracted us to arrive at a name. So, and we are not going to be distracted by 1%, because it means everything in that umbrella was covered. Why should 1% distract us?
My question again, Mr. Kaba, hasn't been answered.
Your question is, I answered your question in a nutshell, where I said, a consortium of political players were present on that day and anonymously.
So that was the very day you had decided on the name.
Of course, and NDC members also assented to that name.
Let me invite some people that are watching us. You can be part of this conversation or discussion by
I
dialing
see
the
what the
number
problem is.
0764 250055, 0764 250055. You can call that number and be part of this discussion. Be brief when you come through. Hello, good morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, thank you, and how are you?
Shikulu, good to have you this morning. How are you?
How are you?
I'm very fine, Shikulu.
Someone say, how are you?
I'm okay, Shukulu. Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
Hello?
Shukulu, good morning. How are you? Very well, thanks.
Yes, another gentleman, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Quickly, the problem that Mr. Kambwili has found himself in is the same problem we GBM had, brother. And the only asset that Mr. Kambwili has is the same asset which GBM has, and that is insults. You cannot call your vice president and others as fluffy dogs. And this is where people are saying, I disagree with him. It's only you to FA assets, but Zambians, let's live beyond this. Now, the bottom line is I was talking to one NDC senior member yesterday, and he opened up to me. They initially wanted 40% of the stake, and they have reduced it to 30%. Now, if they take 30%, and then they leave 70% for other parties, what are they saying? And Mr. Kambwili just wants to be a vice president. What is he saying? And the truth about Mr. Kambwili is in a very, very big problem because there is a rope around his neck. If he goes into the alliance, he's going to be locked up. Now, when he goes to PF, because he thinks PF, they don't have a candidate in the name of, what do you call it?
Running mate?
So when he goes there, he's likely to be president. That's his thinking. And he's broke. And there are a lot of careless statements which he has made, meaning others, where he says NGC is Kambwili and Kambwili is NGC. I don't think so. And if you look at the whole setup now, UPND has been so clever. They have now built majority in the party where they have given 8 slots to Lwapula, 8 to Northern Province, and 8 to Muchinga. And those are the provinces where Kambwili thinks is so strong. If this 8-8-24, if they can just put their heads together, they can easily overcome Kambwili because Kambwili is the only strength in Insele. And people like me are no longer interested in insults. Let's have other good people. And this other girl, Atanga, she says PF are bad managers. But why go into bed with a bad person? It's like going into bed with somebody with AIDS. It doesn't make a lot of sense for me. Let me thank you much for color. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
much.
Thank you so much, Shukuru. We value your contribution. That is Shukuru from Lwapula, also adding his voice and on the topic of discussion. Ngumbwa.
Thank you, my brother.
Go ahead.
Let me congratulate that man from RTP. His reasoning, I think, is very progressive. And that those are people who need to represent people in parliament, okay? Because they're using their mind other than their stomach. Such that Kambwili, especially Savoy, who think Western Province people are stupid, that they can give her a victory even by 10 hours. That's the mentality she had when she contested the mayor of Lusaka. It was even beaten by the Alfred Banda party, okay? I don't know what is giving her confidence that in Western Province, that's where she can win easy. That she will have a house here in Western Province. That's the most of the name. We are not stupid, okay? We voted out PF despite giving us the vice president. When we vote for Savoy, was not contributed anything to Western Province. We are not that foolish. Kambwili has been thinking that he was popular on the copper belt. Yes? But in that by-election, what by-election? Is it when it was in Ilungwa or I don't know, I think you can correct it.
It's Ilubwa in Kitwe.
Yeah, Lungwa. What kind of vote did he get Kambwili there? Was number 3. And the difference between him and UPN, which he thought was not popular on the copper belt, was huge. So is it right for him to continue thinking that it's more popular than UPN even in Northern Province? Where did he beat the UPN in any direction? They contested together in Northern Province, Muchinga or Wapula, even in Eastern Province. I think I appreciate the province at the time when was the minister in PF. How he went with PF, destroyed the both newspapers in other media houses. And just because he is no longer an ally of the party, of those in government, now he wants to victimize them because they are no longer working with him. Can we use a person who be your friend when you are eating together? Immediately you differ. Would turn against you and speak all evil about you. So we can't have such a person as the second is command.
Thank you. Thank you, Nkumba.
With a friend, what we worked with him like Bamirubi. From 2015, he has never betrayed UPA and Bamirubi. And those progressive friends go ahead with UPA alliance. We have seen that in those alliances even in Britain, okay? They have never found a neutral name to bind them. Okay? So why should Ukapis today think we are so slow and so foolish to always to give him a second chance, a second position in the country? No, we want Zambia.
Thank you so much, Nkumba.
By progressive, minded people. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Nkumba. Let me pick two calls, then we switch to another story or another story of discussion that we have on the table this morning. 0764250055 is the number. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Yes, good morning, Kelvin.
Voice of Chiengi.
Yes, my brother. Oh, how is the morning?
No, the normal is abnormal, the abnormal is normal.
What's Kalaka Imwena?
Valei mwena mdala.
Morning, Mansa.
Morning, voice of Chiengi. How are you doing?
I'm all right. And good morning, sir, the other panelists.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you.
Mm.
Problem to about Zambia, we always put ourselves first, then our shala, Baba Kum Unuma. That's the biggest problem that we have. That we are really sure Shovalanda Punavandi Avantu, fishing Kasana. Alliance, the biggest threat that we have at the moment, what the focus is to remove the current government out of power. Then the other things will come later on. So I'm very disappointed. I've never been more disappointed when you was a boy over what she said. Kabola ndo kwa chawama na ikala pola kabola ro chiro kwikala na kapola. I don't know what people are thinking. It's your interest bakwetesi na botu wasanga kulia. So what I can tell you, Kelvin, and the other Mwansa and the other gentleman is that I'm telling you, this is the fact that I'm telling you, or the truth. UPND has been embraced, people have embraced the party like never before, I'm telling you, brothers. Bakansela balina baleruira batatu bawadi baleruira bukansela abantu balefo okwimanya in the next coming elections bawadi batatu so far mu parliamentary but the 3 MPs have applied bali bo MP bali UPND once all the 15 wards not kwatama contenders bali UPND now coming to the NDC the background I'm telling you now you are a flashy dog never kind of NDC. So let's just stand together. Our more alliance continue to be in the alliance so that we fight the common enemy, which is the PF. Thank you very much and work well.
Thank you so much, Voice of Chirengi. Let me pick my last call. I know that Liswaniso was trying to call me. He wants to contribute on the program. Liswaniso, if you can still come through dialing the number. Hello, good morning. 0764 is the number that you are calling in order for you to be part of the discussion. Hello? Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
Very fine, sir.
My talk
Yes, your name, sir, and where are you calling us from? You are through to the Big Sunrise Breakfast Show.
calling from Nimba.
Please, Mr. Shireshe, go ahead with your contribution.
Akalamba nangufeni mu America. Wakasange pato ko ikwata fye ifitani kyonse ya wina. Na muno mwino mu Zambia wakana abatora democracy. Teknibato pechitani kya wina fyonse pechite democracy yo. Alliance vachitete ifuyire vayakana vawina kova PF democracy ekintu kumona bwino kwata patafiweme apa patitentuikatane pawati ififintu tuendera chapa mutulivamo va PF tulivamo va UPND tulivang'anda imo tuive kama politics nombaya tukatukanye pekenia tuikatane pamo tumona kwati chalo chesu ubuchushi tulimo twabukumiapo Well, PF lorikali abali mu buchushi bambe bali mu buchushi sofini noba tweto abumbera utawa kichalo chesu bonse tamuchiro ya advantage tuona ula haita batushia abafia shine so abandani na totera bakala
Twatotera bakalamba pakutuma. NMC member. NMC member. Good morning.
Yes, Kelvin.
How are you today?
We are fine, Kelvin. We are pushing.
I'm with Gilbert, I'm with Andrew Mwansa and Kesha Sakapelwa.
Yeah, good morning, Wakapera. Good morning, Andrew. I think yesterday, Andrew, I followed you very well with Mavuto and the Savoy.
Morning, Soniso.
I want to tell you this, Chifoko, right? That we need to be serious, all of us as politicians. Where we have reached here, there's nothing like playing games. And in opposition, many times, Chifoko, I've told you that it needs men and women who are principled and who are tough to be in opposition. Despite anything which comes into your life, if you know what you believe in, you continue doing that. And I'm happy that one of the callers, including Wakapura, even Andrew yesterday mentioned it. MND Mutati had an alliance with the PF. They never changed the NNM. In Malawi, MCP had an alliance, but because it was the biggest political party in Malawi, the biggest political party, and I've said many times to people, even that platform, first of all, agree that UPND is the largest political party in Zambia. Agree. I've said, civil state organization, church leaders, traditional leaders, if you want to support an alliance under Rainde and UPA, first of all, that this political party is the majority political party now, people want it now. So when you extend your hand to other political parties, you come together and you agree that okay, this one, the one who is going, 58 members of parliament, almost 55 council chairmen and mayors altogether, almost 700 to 800 councillors across the country. We agree, we sit down to say, how do we help each other here so that we can form government as an alternative? But if today you tell me that, no, I'm not agreeing this name, 2 months to change another name. Ane, it's that you saw Vileken. That is my message. That you saw Vileken Kala, go alone, stand, there's no problem if today, tomorrow can become the president, the people of Zambia vote for him as against this. There's no problem. All we want is somebody who can come and save us. But the majority of us, they have said they're going to use the vehicle of UPND. And the two, Chief Okolo, why is that each and every time when there is this alliance meeting, like Mwisura and Dao, he always sends his vices to go there. You undermine your colleagues. So go and sit down, you agree, all of you do what is best. Tomorrow you come up to say, no, you can't do this. But no, this is not good to do. I didn't want even to answer to use emotional like my sisters are going, because using emotional, ranting. These are politics. Politics to understand what you want to achieve, all of you. But if you say the devil is good to do with the PF, then go to PF. That's why even people are writing certain things, accusing him Kambwe. Because it's the way he himself is that thing. Even when Zambian people, Rapatera is there. Even youth for colonel, Zambian people have been calling, no, Kambwe should be running it for who? For Akainde. You know all the things are there. Now I don't know how he's panicking. But some of us, we are learning now to say, oh, these are the characters. The characters of GPM want to come back again too. We don't want to comment on these things. And for me, what I want to tell you, today I will never comment about Kambwiri. This issue with NDC, I won't comment about it. We leave it there.
Thank you.
Certain people, if they need to punish UPND and the other alliance political, let them do that.
Thank you.
By voting for those whom they want to vote. Let's do what is supposed to be done, which is right. We continue doing the right thing. I thank you, Akapera, and your team, what you have done. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was Gilbert Luswaniso, member of the National Management Committee. Do you have anything to say before we go to the suspension of Standing Order number 100, as we are suspending some orders also?
Well, I think, like I said earlier, I think there's still a lot of time, space to sort out some of the challenges that the alliance is facing, and I think it's about time Dr. Kambwili drops his ego and just get into the plan of the script that they've already prepared for themselves. Many are saying that the NDC are not serious. From what we saw yesterday, it's not the NDC, it's Dr. Kambwili. The NDC are in the alliance. All right.
No, you cannot say it was Dr. Where are you putting Kabuita as well as Savoy?
They have officially signed. Their vice president officially signed the electoral pact paper that we saw yesterday, Chief. And so the NDC are in the alliance. The faction of the NDC that is led by Dr. Kambwili is one that is a little bit uncertain. And they said on Saturday, that is tomorrow, they will give their clear position regarding the future of them either continuing in the alliance or going as a single political party. And it was clear yesterday that NDC is a democratic party. All right? What the members of the Central Committee will decide is what will be binding. But I have the last hammer.
Yes.
Either to agree or disagree.
So how democratic
How
is
democratic?
it? If all the members of the National Governing Committee will say, let us go, and then he with the last hammer, says no.
But also I think Dr. Kambwili has to be realistic. Has to be very realistic going into these elections. I don't think he's got enough political fortitude to win an election alone.
Thank you. We need to. Mr. Kappa, do you have anything to say on this one?
Just to add on, and I want to appreciate all the callers that obviously those were positive callers in trying to, and this is the feeling of the many Zambians, really. I think this egoistic kind of behavior that is brought to this kind of politics is not what the Zambians wants to hear. You understand? People were so excited. And you know what? I had so much respect for Honorable Kambwili. But you see, at the last touch of it all, he's literally disappointed me. The arrogance. And you see, this is the reason why even the callers are comparing him to GBM. They are in the same bracket. This behavior of mistrust, and my opinion, and as well as RPP, you cannot get to bed, especially in the political platform, where you can't even trust each other. So the best thing that we can do is, I think, already this group, other group of these people that were represented in RDC, they are very logical, and they categorically put it straight. We want to be we are part of this alliance. We've been there since. And then this thing of Alpha and Omega, wanting to make decisions because then you want to, really, Zambians, I think, are not ready for such. So this alliance is for Zambians. We've partnered with Zambians. And this is the feel of the Zambian people. So to stand out and say, this one is small, this one is what, okay, in our smaller way, if the biggest political party has embraced us, we appreciate. And in a smaller way, we shall go with it. Mind you, Mr. Chifokola, remember, there was a day that you actually even put it across. You saw us somewhere in one of Lusaka compounds doing mobilization.
Yes.
So if we do not have the following, surely, why are those people embracing us? So, imiponto, embrace political parties. We can't be party with such kind of a system. We are young people aspiring for prudent leadership, and we are creating an atmosphere where the Zambian people should have hope for the UPND alliance. Thank you.
Standing Order 100 of the National Assembly of Zambia, Standing Orders 2016, has been suspended from Friday, the 26th of February, to Friday, the 5th of March 2021, to enable the House consider more than one stage of a bill at the same sitting before adjournment before adjourning CNDA. The suspended standing order prohibits the House from considering more than one stage of a bill at one sitting without the permission of the House. In moving the motion to suspend the standing order, Vice President Inonge Wina has explained, given that there are 22 bills before the House which have reached different stages and enactment, it is important that they are passed before the House adjourns CNDA. Mrs. Wina has told Parliament, owing to the time left before adjournment on the 5th of March, that it is therefore necessary that Standing Order 100 be suspended to facilitate the consideration of more than one stage of a bill in one sitting. And in debating to oppose the motion, Monza Central lawmaker Jack Mwimbo has wondered why the House is being rushed to pass the 22 bills without lawmakers consulting with their constituents. Mr. Mwimbo has argued that the speed at which the executive wants to pass the said bills, some of which he says are contentious, does not give the public and members of Parliament time to either make objections and amendments to the pieces of legislation before the House. He referred to the Cyber Security Bill as one such bills that are contentious and which should not be rushed. And in response, Mr. Wina has explained the details. The Cyber Security Bill will be debated in the House before the piece of legislation is passed. Let's just hear what Jack Mwimbo had to say, and also in responding, the Kawata lawmaker who debated with his last breath.
Which will be debated when standing orders have been suspended, affects the rights of every Zambian. And it has never happened in the history of this country. And they want us, Mr. Speaker, to rush this particular bill tomorrow so that the people of Zambia can have their rights subjected and taken away by a bill which has been rejected by a number of Zambians. I even feel very sad that an honorable colleague of mine can say, we in the UPND will not take part in the debate of the cybercrime bill. The bill is for you to debate. Show your prowess. Show your intellect on the floor. Don't show it outside and pretend that her honor has curtailed you from debating, because she has not.
Mr. Speaker, the cyber security bill that will be brought to the House is being discussed all over the world, and the details of the bill will be debated in the House. And it's not the only bill that will be brought to the House. There will be 22 other bills. And all bills that are brought to the House, Mr. Speaker, are meant to protect the interests and the rights of the Zambian people.
The question is that Standing Order 100 of the National Assembly of Zambia, Standing Orders 2016, be suspended from Friday 26 February 2021 to Friday 5th March 2021 to enable the House consider more than one stage of a bill at the same sitting. As many as are of that opinion, say.
So, God willing, the cyber security bill is coming for second reading, and voting will be done today. But the UPND have made it clear that they won't take part in the voting. Andrew, others are saying this is the young sister to bill number 10 because people are not aware. But members of Parliament have gone ahead to debate, and now they'll be voting on the second reading. What do you make of this?
They seem to be following the same script, like I, consistently say, Chifokolo. I think the people of Zambia have been very, very clear on what they want. The people of Zambia haven't been sleeping on what they want. When Bill 10 came, the people of Zambia demanded that they should be consulted to understand the content of Bill 10. And when the people of Zambia understood the content of Bill 10, they rejected it. So they sent members of parliament not to vote for it. The Cybersecurity and Crimes Bill is yet another bill that the people of Zambia do not fully understand what the particular bill is about. They've only been hearing from civil society organizations and some named political parties of what the content of the bill is. I think no one has clearly explained to them what the content of that particular bill is. Remember that this bill is going to affect all of us once passed, in one way or the other, whether good or bad. But I think what is much more important is for people to understand. And the PF seem not to be learning. Those that belong to the governing body of the Patriotic Front seem not to be learning. They seem to be making the same mistake. Already they are creating a space of suspicion. Why the rush? If this particular bill is good for the people of Zambia, take it to them. Let them understand. But I think the same steps that happened in Bill 10 are happening now. You remember that they wanted to begin to rush things, do this and this, begin to... And it's what they're doing with the Cybersecurity and Crimes Bill. I think they should actually allow for proper consultation. I do know for a fact that different stakeholders have been given submissions before the parliamentary committee, and I think most of the submissions that have come, LAS rejected it.
Yes, LAS has
Chapter 1 Foundation has rejected the bill, and many different formidable organizations,
Gears,
TIZ, Gears, and many have said.
But there are those that are in support,
and
like Yali.
And well,
they are supporting the bill.
And so
it's more like a 50-50. There are those that are against and those that are for, just like Bill 10 was.
I think in creating legislation that affects all of us, there should be consensus.
And
Clearly, there's no consensus in this Cybersecurity and Crimes Bill. How many people understand the Cybersecurity and Crimes Bill? Why the rush? Why can't it wait? Those are questions that are very critical.
Questions indeed. Why the rush? Why can't you wait? Cybersecurity and Crimes Bill, Mr. Kapelwa.
Mr. Fukola, it's another scam of a bill. Invading your privacy, invading my privacy. What's their area of interest? There's nothing apart from because we're headed towards elections. How does this bill, the question like Comrade here is asking, what's the rush about this bill? Why didn't they organize and reach a consensus? And it makes me wonder, where are the churches, where are the civil society to speak out to the Patriotic Front has created a lot of questionable situation that the Zambian people don't understand. This is an elite political party that was founded on the pretext of pro-poor, but all of a sudden they've switched the gear. I think President Michael Sata, may so rest in peace, in his grave is shaking. The people that he entrusted to preside on the majority poor, they've literally betrayed the Zambian people. This executive has literally betrayed the Zambian people. You cannot create such a bill out of selfish interest, because you then want to...
You think so? You think they are selfish interests?
That's what it is.
But there are other organizations and individuals that have supported.
Which organizations?
I mean, Yali is on record. They are supporting this. And there are calls that have come from PF to say, unless there's something that you are hiding, unless you are a criminal, then you've got every reason to be against cybersecurity bill.
Each citizen of this country has their rights to privacy. You have a right to your privacy, because this bill, what it entails, is that they will be invading in our privacy.
But there are others who are comfortable to have their privacy invaded.
Comrade, you send a message to your wife, I miss you a lot tonight. This system should have gotten aware of it. What is it that you really want to achieve at the end of it all, out of this bill?
Is to curtail issues of cyberbullying, people hiding. And
cyberbullying. They've got all the mechanism. People have been prosecuted that have probably sent a different kind of messaging There are a lot of court cases that are in courts right now. Cyberbullying that we're talking about. There's nothing else aside, you know, what you would simply call insecurities that are not known. It's just about encrypting pen on individuals that are overriding on prudent leadership. It's just about the opposition. That's what it is. Why rush the bill? That even me, I can't literally even understand it. Literally. I'm hearing it, I'm just hearing the cyber security bill. Why the rush? Why can't you first of all reach out to many people and get the feel and understanding of this bill? It's another scam of a bill.
Remember
like
that
bill term was.
they're doing it on behalf of the people. But if the people that are doing it on behalf of don't understand, then who are they doing it
There are
on behalf
those
of?
that understand and they are ready like Yali.
But
We have
the
to go,
minority,
gentlemen.
comrade, the minority, the majority Zambians don't understand this bill. Even you personally might be wondering as a journalist, why the rush? You know, because the poor Zambians don't understand this bill. And you know the problem with the PF, they are so excited with this wealth where everything that they do is just about themselves.
We
Not
have to
about the
go,
majority
Mr.
group.
Capella. Thank you so much for making
you
an
very much,
appearance
sir.
and wishing you all the best as you are still a member
We are
of
going
the
to
NRI.
mobilize. We are on the ground right now.
Thank you so much. Andrew, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Hope to see you tomorrow.
Of course, thanks, Chief. Thanks, Mr. Capello. Thanks to
Thank you, comrade.
the viewers that followed the conversation.
Many thanks to you. Join us again tomorrow with the official breakfast show in the land of Zambia, Breakfast with the Boys. But do make a date on Viewers' Opinion at 10:30 hours, as well as Funky Friday coming up at 13 hours. My name is Calvin Tabola, Chief Focal. Happy Friday.
Yali is in support.